All right, now we want to populate this form with this vehicle object. However, here we're dealing with a slightly complex scenario. We have these cascading drop-down lists. So what we have in the model drop-down list is dependent upon what we have selected in the make drop-down list. We also have these features that are rendered dynamically. Now, in order to display the vehicle data in this form, first we need to get all the makes and models as well as the features. So the form is in the right state, and then we can display the vehicle data here. How do we do that? So here in ng-on-init, this is where we have the call to get makes and get features. Now, one ugly way to implement this scenario is to add a code block here, get the makes first, and then move this second call here. And then once we get the features, make a call to get vehicle. So what you see here is we end up with a lot of nested blocks. And the more complex our form gets, the uglier this structure will look like. So let me show you a better way. Here we're working with observables. And with observables, we can send multiple requests in parallel and subscribe to the result when all these observables are complete. So here in ng-on-init, I'm going to call observable.forkJoin. Now first we need to import the observable type from RxJS. Next we need to import this operator, but my auto import doesn't work for this scenario, so we need to come here and add import RxJS, add observable fork join. Now here we can pass an array and put multiple observables. So here's the first observable to get the vehicle. I'm going to cut this from here and put it in this array. Now let me temporarily comment out this code. Here is the second observable. We want to get the makes. So cut, and I'm going to put it here. The order doesn't really matter because all these requests are going to go to the server in parallel. Once again, I'm going to comment this out. And finally, this is the third observable to get the features. So I'm going to put that here as well. Now, when all these observables are complete, we subscribe to them. And here we get data, which is an array that includes all the results from our observables. So here, the first observable is for getting the makes. And then I can set this.makes to data of 0. Similarly, I'm going to set this.features to data of 1. And third, I'm going to set this.vehicle to data of 2. Of course, we need to change this bit because as I explained earlier, this vehicle object we get from the server is a complete representation of this vehicle. But in our form, we're only working with the IDs. We're working with a different contract, right? So here we subscribe to these observables. And just like before, we should also handle the 404 error. So I'm going to cut this code from here and put it back here. And now let's get rid of all this commented code. So with this structure, if an error occurs while subscribing to any of these observables, this block is going to get executed. Now in this case, we know that our makes and features endpoints are there. So if we get a 404 error, it's definitely for the vehicle. Now let's test this. So refresh the page. Beautiful. And now an invalid ID. So we're back on the home page. Beautiful. Now one last thing. This implementation works for editing a vehicle. How about creating a vehicle? We don't want to call this getVehicle method with 0 as the ID. So I'm going to make this conditional. It's very easy. I'm going to declare a variable called sources. So these are our data sources. We definitely want the makes and features, so I put them here. Now, if this.vehicle.id has a value and is truthy, which means it's not 0, we're going to push a new observable into our sources array. So sources.push. Now I'm going to cut this code from here and paste it here. Finally, as the argument to fork join, I'm going to send sources. Now, when we get the result, similarly, we want to check for the ID of the vehicle. So if this.vehicle.id, then we assign this vehicle property. All right, next we're going to work on mapping this vehicle object.